So, Kestrel, um, you have posited a potential exchange of information with Eric
Mhm.
here. And he certainly seems intrigued.
Mhm.
Uh, so, what exactly is it that you would like to know, my dear? And what is it that you have to trade?
I don't think that was the voice you did.
I don't
I
know.
was gonna say that seems a little
with it.
different.
Who is this?
No, I'm going with it. I'm going with it. I'm sorry. I
I
just
don't know.
Where'd the other guy go?
What was he doing last time? Was he a bit more? Was he a bit more aloof? Oh yes, yeah. Well, was he like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah yes. Oh,
We'll find
excuse
it.
me. Sometimes
It's
have a different
Inquisitor
voice.
Yin in disguise.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull up his Scooby-Doo mask.
Well, so I asked him, like, could I keep these books? And can I gather some books from you, these books, and maybe some other ones, if I gave you some information? And he said, yeah, basically. I mean,
He said, I think he said, like, that's a very interesting proposal you have there. What exactly do you think you know? What do you have to trade for me?
well, it seems like you have some pieces of information that maybe are incomplete, and I have not yet told you the rest of the story.
And he sort of, by story, you mean this here? And he kind of like motions to like all the images that he's kind of put out, essentially. The ones
If-
that tell the story of the Akashic Station falling and whatnot.
The Akashic Station and the Flesh Curse.
Mhm.
Yes. Only it seems like you have outsider like information point of view. Not so much understand what happened on the inside. And I think maybe you might benefit.
And he says, "Well, I agree. I might very well benefit from this. What information would you like in exchange for this?"
I would like these books here, and maybe one to help me with my reading.
And he kind of looks to you, Myru, just to sort of get to sort of, I guess, get a appraisal. Like, what he's trying to get a read of what your take on this is. What are you? Are you
Yeah.
stoic? Are you cold? Are you just like,
Um,
yeah, figure
I'm
it out?
watching. I have been watching Kestrel throughout this exchange. Can I do like a check on her to see if I can tell if this is like normal? Just she's excited to learn and share what she knows, or if there's something about the curiosity that she mentioned before that's perhaps manifesting here.
Sure, yeah. I'd say a insight would probably be appropriate for that.
Okay.
Okay, that's a 2 on a d8 and a 7 on a d8.
So I rolled a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You sort of get the feeling that this is pretty normal. This doesn't really feel out of place for Kestrel, at the very least. This just sort of looks like her trying to learn something new, or to piece together something that's just, I don't know, like a puzzle in front of her, right? She feels like she doesn't have all the pieces and she just wants all the pieces. But nothing malicious as far as you can tell. Nothing, yeah. Nothing that would match the kind of vague description you got earlier today.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm probably just kind of, watching her thoughtfully, no, but I don't look like particularly alarmed to Eric then.
Okay. Um, he nods and he's like, "Well, I could certainly make sure that you get all of these things, my dear. I could even ensure that you get copies of a couple more. We facilitate all kinds of things like this here. What I would
And
like." Hmm?
sorry. And would there be books on? Do I remember the name Freegate? I probably do.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Would there be any information on the Freegate facility?
And this sort of makes them go, "Freegate? Why is it that you're looking for information on Freegate?"
It contributes to the story.
And he goes, "Well, there is some historical significance to Freegate, of course. I can't tell you what happens within it, but how and why it was made, that is information that we have here, yes."
Then I would like some books on that as well.
And he kind of nods. We just turn to you, Myro, and he asks, "Tell me, my dear, what is your role in this quest for knowledge?"
Hmm. Um. Thinking. At least in terms of Freegate, Myra will say, well, you can probably tell from my appearance that I'm not from around here, and as part of my own quest, I think it would be beneficial for me to learn as much as I can about this country and all it has to offer. So I too wouldn't mind learning a little bit more about the history behind Freegate and the history just in general of this world.
And he kind of takes you at your word here. He nods, but your vagueness is making it a little hard for him to, like, you're not being very specific.
This
You're just
bird
sort of
is
just
awfully
saying,
nosy.
It's an owl. It's not a
Attack.
bird.
"Whoa, owls aren't birds? What's
I
going
don't
on?"
know. Aren't they mammals? I'm just kidding.
Get out. He says, "Well, learning as much as you can is a noble goal. You know, we do offer a number of volumes about the people and places of Chroma worldwide. If you wanted, I could suggest a particular series to you, my dear." And
Um,
if you don't immediately respond, he'll say, "There is a particular series known as A Day in the Life. It's told from the perspective of many different people. And I will say that as far as a detailed autobiography goes, it's one of the best we have here in the House of Knowledge."
Myra nods and says, I would be honored if you would let me read it. Thank you.
"Certainly, I can provide you detailed," and he kind of like takes out a piece of paper and one of the quills. There's a couple of them all about the place, and he writes some stuff down and he hands it to you and he goes, "You'll find that there's a system of numbers that'll tell you wherever you need to go in here to find anything you need. If you simply check the aisles as you go by and use this as your guide, you'll find what you're looking for. But as for you, my dear, uh, I'm sorry, I never did get your name." And he's speaking to you, Kestrel.
It is Kestrel.
And he's,
I was about to say,
a
time to make
beautiful
up a code name.
Yeah.
Kestrel. Oh.
Nope. I'm going to be fully transparent.
Sharp's like dying somehow, just like, God damn, something's happening.
I don't know to be secretive. Sorry.
I like it.
He says, "It's a beautiful name there. if you'd like, if you could follow me, I do have a place where we can exchange information better. I can get you the books that you are looking for here. I can't give you these, but we can make copies of them for you to take with you. Any books you wish. And you can help give me what you know, and then we will be able to turn that into books.
Cool. Time out real quick. Is this guy asking Myru to go away from me
Yeah.
and then take me somewhere else
Uh-huh.
by myself?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
After
is that what's happening?
Does the owl look
Yeah, that
trusting
is what's
enough to do that?
It's a
Can-
beautiful name.
Can I
Why
see
did-
if this is sussy as hell?
Yeah, Myru, do not fucking leave Castro.
Red flags are flying up everywhere.
Perhaps planning on
Good.
it. I just figured I'd go with her. Not that this guy would want to be like, come with me.
Kestrel, that's
by yourself.
That's a beautiful name. Does anyone else know you're here right now?
Yeah. Do your parents know where you are?
It's a beautiful name. Would you like to sample the books in the back of my van?
Oh shit! The copier's in our basement. Come,
I can
come.
see you're a lady who likes sweets.
Oh goddamn!
So can I
Time
check
in.
this man real quick?
Do an insight and
Clock him in the
and
face.
willpower.
Yeah.
Can I
Insight
also
willpower? Okay.
do this, please?
Get away from
What was
me,
that? What was
creepo.
that, Michaela?
Can I also do an insight willpower
You
check?
certainly can.
Yeah,
Yes.
find your willpower to not get kidnapped is stronger than his willpower to kidnap you.
I got an 8.
All right.
This role playing is taking a
And-
wild turn.
It's a 2 and a 6 from Michaela, and a 4 and a 6 from Maya.
Okay. He seems to be on the up and up. Doesn't seem to be necessarily trying to separate you two. Just happens to be providing you guys information that certainly would lead to that situation. But I mean, you can't really get a
Okay.
super good read on him.
All right. Well, let's go exchange information.
I mean, I'm not leaving. I'm not gonna let her go alone. If he has a problem with
Buddy
that, he can
system,
say
buddy
something.
system.
Yes.
To be fair, Rosalind did say none of us should be alone at any time, just to reinforce that
Oh,
idea.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Where's Gunnolf?
Steve would be
if
fine.
you stand,
Steve,
if you
yeah,
stand up
whatever.
to join Kestrel, he
Mhm.
does not offer any opposition to that. He does not seem to mind if you come along with him as well. In fact, he'll go,
Okay.
"Oh yes, of course. This way, ladies."
Ooh, for the
I,
price of
I
one.
suppose you can come.
Yeah. Perfect
Okay.
cover for a pedophile right here.
Okay.
Ah, shit. Okay.
Okay, I guess so, young lady.
At this point, we could probably say, Gunnolf, you have arrived at the House of Knowledge.
just in time.
What's going on here?
I smell
You find yourself outside. You pass the statues out front of the
Mhm.
three gods, and up the steps into the inside, the reception desk, all of that. Is there any place in particular that you're looking or going to start looking or anything like that?
I will also get in touch with the person up in front.
Okay.
I can't remember their name. I don't know if
Did
you
not.
ever gave
They
them.
did not give you a name. They
Okay.
just greeted you and went from there. Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, I would like some help in getting several things here. One, I'd like some advertising materials to, namely to chefs. And two, maybe some advertising materials for people like adventuring people. And three, and I'm going to pull out my map, and I'd like to see if you guys have any books about this location in general, and kind of point to the Wonderlust forest.
Okay. And so it's a different person that you will have approached the desk. There are a couple of people there.
Mhm.
This is a young man, and he goes, "Oh, well, if you're looking for advertising material, that is going to be," and he kind of jots down little location on a little piece of paper, and he goes, "You can look here for the latest advertising material that people have posted here in the House of
Okay.
Knowledge, and as far as that location," and he kind of takes a look at the map, and then he goes, Well, yeah. And he kind of looks over at another young woman at the desk, and she kind of looks at him, and he goes, "Well, if I may ask, are you just looking for information on the Wanderlust Woods in general, or anything in particular, sir?"
I'm looking for like a historical thing. Say before it was cordoned off, perhaps of like the indigenous people that live there. And yeah, no, I'd like to know more about the location.
And he kind of he looks to one of the other young ladies at the desk again, and then and they definitely exchange a look of like interesting, and he looks back to you and he
What
goes,
a day.
Well, so if you'd like, we have somebody who would love to give you more information about that, sir. Unfortunately, you are not the first person to inquire about the Wanderlust Woods today. Our expert on the subject is currently occupied. If you want to wait, I can make sure that you get an appointment with him, or I could write down the location of most of our resources on it and give that to you.
Um, I wouldn't mind just going to meet with them. I understand it might be of an inconvenience to find them at this point, but uh, yeah, I will absolutely. If you want to try to find them for me, I'll also go to these couple of things and pick out first the couple of things, the advertising notes, and then I'll look at the information that you guys have around here about the Wanderlust area.
He goes, okay, well, and he jots some stuff down and he hands it to you. He goes, well, this is where we keep our section on the woods, and we will let our head curator know that you are here to meet him. His name is Eric, in case you haven't been to see him, and we'll let him know, and we will try to find you when he is free.
Sounds great.
Okay. So you start looking around for advertisements and stuff?
Yep. Primarily, I'm looking for advertisements that it's geared towards like chefs and adventurers of like useful objects that they could take, like for chefs in particular, like kind of like useful accessories, if you will, about the things that they use in restaurants and stuff to see if I can emulate it in a design. And same with all the stuff for adventurers.
So you're looking more for like accessories or things like that.
Yeah, it's the things that are advertised to both chefs and adventurers, some accessories.
Both I and the person at reception misunderstood your request, and you have been sent to an area where people that are chefs and or adventurers are basically sort of like either think of it like a wanted place where people who can either hire themselves out or are looking to hire. They basically post things over there.
Okay.
So there is currently a wealth of like contacts for people both looking to hire adventurers and or chefs, and vice versa. There are adventurers and chefs in this area of the House of Knowledge that are looking for work. But it is not a section that has a detailed look at the professions of like cooking, baking, or adventuring and dungeoneering and things like that. That would be a different section. So that's an easy thing that you would notice as soon as you get over there. But I will say,
I wouldn't be opposed to sitting there and asking them like, what has been like a number one thing that once you knew you had it, you couldn't live without it, a situation.
Yep. And if you want to basically just start kind of being like, oh, excuse me, and kind of sourcing just person to person with the people that are in that area, I would say that you actually find a wealth of like actual practical experience from these people. Some might argue even more accurate and timely information than you might have found if you were looking through the books itself.
Right.
So is there anything like I can kind of just say you do find some information. Are you looking for anything in particular, or like yeah?
I'm really looking for like certain objects, and I want to be able to see if I can emulate them and create them for our party. And so I want to be able to open myself up to crafting these accessories.
Okay. Well, I would say that if you were looking to just sort of build a list, an inventory of things to look out for or try to reproduce, I would say that you find a pretty accurate description of items, including from these individuals, like things that they bought before, some that they didn't like, some where like you can even get a person to be like, yeah, when I was using this, this rigging, this rope rigging, I found that this one was the most reliable, but it wasn't the quickest. This other brand was quicker, but it actually slipped on me once, so I'm never going to use it again. Things like that. So you actually get a bit more practical experience on like some of those sort of precise tools.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then, so learning what I could about the about like accessories and objects that people are excited about, then I make my way over to learn about the indigenous peoples in the section that they have without our head curator, Eric.
Okay. Well, it'll take you a little bit while to source information from all the people in the sort of advertising area. So we're going to have to roll over to probably Rosalind. Probably.
The blind leading the blind back with us.
Yes.
So we're still working on the wheel, right?
Yeah, you got
All
none of
right.
it filled in. Yeah.
Yeah, you in fact added a section.
I know, we sure did.
And you paid for no information.
I'm just really curious what this cat with a top hat kind of looks like and what they do. Is like a.
Is this when I say I am also curious what it does? And we'll find out when I come up with it. So, if you guys want to make another insight and I think dexterity check as you were looking around, unless you want to change tactics, I can always give you a different roll.
I mean,
I know it doesn't matter for Chris.
yeah, it's only a
the
1 in
and everything.
4,000 chance I roll back to back double ones, right? So, and
Okay.
Oh, nice
There
job.
we
go.
Chris.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Now,
So Sean,
so if
you can.
I got a 7. Oh, what were you gonna say, Doug?
Yes.
but your 10 is
You
a
rolled
1.
a 1. Your 10 is a 1, and your 6 is a 6.
Okay, and then that's slash R D10.
Space D10, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you're using a Fabula point.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to. We're trying to be discreet, trying to be stealthy, going on, and I'm gonna try to remember. I had a friend one time who was extremely stealthy and had very sticky fingers, and I'm gonna try to be like her. I'm gonna channel Dewdrop, and that's a lot better.
Oh,
You channel.
that's a 10 on the D10 and a 6 on the D6.
So this is a 16
Okay,
and
yeah.
mine is a 14.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice job.
We got our act together.
You slap yourself.
We might have at least one space in the positive now.
Did we? What was the check? 10.
What?
I
Like
think it was 10.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's for every 2. I want to make sure. I want to get it right. Okay. No. 3 or more. Okay. Is 1 additional one. So that's
So it's 3 additional.
so it's at least
so
2 successes with an additional 1
2,
from
3.
one and 2 from
Yep,
the other.
Yep.
Man, you guys almost would have fully filled it, especially if you hadn't added to it. So you guys look around, basically. You kind of do your due diligence. You sort of scout the place out. You kind of ask people. There are, like I said, a lot of people who sort of, it's almost like trading information out here, a lot of them, but most of them are here for like a specific reason. And a lot of them are, say, like looking for something or even offering information. You find that there'll be people, say, in a given area that are like, you'll pass a historic section and they might actually have somebody over there that's looking to, say, sell maps, because they've actually like recently done, say, like they've engaged in cartography. What do you want to call that? They've gone out, they've surveyed the area, they've mapped it out, and they're currently trying to like sell maps to people that might be looking for it. And you find the inverse, people looking to, say, buy maps or looking to buy, say, firsthand experience of given areas. Or you even find people who are essentially peddling advertisements. So you might pass an area that has to do with the Goraz Desert, and there's somebody that is being like, oh, if you're looking for the latest Goraz fashion, all you got to do is swing by our store over, and they slap down a fucking thing for you to, a little advertisement thing for you to look at. That is perhaps more common than you'd like to see in here. People trying to just advertise things. However, it is, it's technically information. And you get the feeling that the overall vibe of this place is that anything is for sale, and anything, and while most people are more than happy to just engage in exchanging knowledge, in lieu of knowledge, currency works just fine. But in regards to things that no one should be able to have access to, that's not really the sort of thing that you are seeing a lot of here. If anything, this is the worst environment to find it in. It doesn't really seem like, it seems like if somebody had something and they were here, it's because they wanted it to not be a secret. This is the place for open and honest discussions about things to happen. And if you were to be found here and you didn't have something to offer, it almost would be more questionable of why you were here, because what are you doing in the House of Knowledge if you're not here to share information? That said, you do, as you ask about, hear that there is some places within the House of Knowledge that only the staff have access to, and that they don't keep everything out, or for display, I should say. So you're getting a bit of a mixed message, but that's kind of where you're at right now. I will say you're not quite there, but you're close.
So could the next check be we are talking to the staff and trying to like get them to convince them to share?
Yeah,
and maybe
absolutely.
we have to do a bit so they don't, we'll get tricksy. We'll go incognito.
You want to do a little acting?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll never know what hit them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Myru and we'll see how the checks say. Myru and Kestrel, you guys are being led by Eric. Deeper into the House of Knowledge, lower, I should say, and he's sort of chit-chatting as you go, like, oh, well, it's not every day that I get somebody who has some genuinely good information, something we've never heard from here. I must commend you for your spirit of openness and sharing. That is what this place is about. Yes, once upon a time, we were but a small, and he's just sort of telling the story of how the place came up and whatnot. And you get the feeling he's probably given this little discussion a couple of times before. But you guys make your way down until he eventually comes up to a room, and it does sort of, it does have a little thing on it that says staff only. And he does say, oh, come in. This is where we do all of our duplication. It's not a sort of procedure that we want everyone to have access to, but you two are more than welcome in. And he opens the door and ushers you guys inside.
Is there like a place to sit or?
Yeah, so you go inside and you can see that there is. So there is a table in the middle and there are a number of chairs
Those
around
guys
it.
if they're chained
And-
on the wall.
And there are a number of books, scrolls, all kinds of things on the wall, like on the shelves that align a lot of the walls. And you notice, Myru, this is probably more your vibe, just given your expertise. There is also essentially sort of like I don't want to call it a ritualistic circle, but there are essentially diagrams upon the table itself. And the way that they are aligned would seem to indicate that like they are here to sort of like either duplicate, like there's essentially, think of it like there are two separate circles that you might say place like books or other things in, and then there's sort of a larger circle that connects the two of them. So this looks like this might be the place where you could say put one book and then it could duplicate that information onto another. What little you know of magic, I mean, you're familiar with a lot of it. If the way this room looks matches about how he describes it, doesn't look like he's been trying to deceive you guys in any way whatsoever.
Okay.
So he walks you guys in and says, "Oh, please, take a seat. Take a seat. Given the sensitive nature of this information and the well, your uniqueness, my dear, we won't be able to use writing to transcribe all of this. Have you ever heard of a thing called an eidetic memory disk?"
And she's like, yes, I have held one before. Not accessed, but I gave one to a friend of mine.
And he's a little surprised. He doesn't hide this, his reaction in any way, that you've not only heard of one before, but you've held one. He goes, "Oh, well, they're quite rare, actually. But good, then you are familiar with it. Well, we have a number of them here at the House of Knowledge, and using them, you can share what you know with me, and we needn't worry about words or language, given your unfamiliarity with them as is. And then, once I know that the information is good and everything, I would be more than happy to copy any of the books, and then some, to assist you in your journey."
So, and Kestrel's thinking, this takes my memories. Yes? Takes
goes,
my.
And he goes, "Well, it doesn't take them so much as it simply records them. The things that you know will also be known by the disc, and anyone who holds the disc would also then know them as well and feel them as well."
Okay. And this is more a question for you, Jason. What I put on the disc, is it going to, do I choose what I wish to put on it? Like,
You do.
how
You
much
do.
of it do I get to choose? Is it very truthful almost? Like very sincere feeling? Because of the nature of accessing my memories?
Yes. So you do not have to share everything. Sharp
Mhm.
has experienced some degree of this in that there are things that are kept from the disc as she sort of feels them.
Mhm.
But you can think of it as a recording of your stream of consciousness as you sort of think it into existence. It's almost like every perfect conversation you've had in your shower thoughts, but like stuck in a moment. So like you have some degree over the narrative, but any particular memory that your stream of consciousness conjures forth, and like you have to sort of actively try to say curb or censor it. If you are trying to describe something and it makes you feel a certain way, that will end up on the disc. Now, obviously, you have some degree of self-control in trying to say stem particular feelings or say move past a subject or not think too much about something. But even the fact that you tried not to think too much about it is in a way imprinted upon the disc. So like a lack of knowledge is in some ways kind of transferred with it. So for example, Sharp often knew that like there were parts that were being withheld from her as she was reading through the disc. And that's kind of how that would work. So you do have control, but to some degree it's limited, and in a most like honest way possible. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I thought I was just gonna tell him a story and he'd write it down, but turns out he's gonna get a very factual account. Okay.
Can Kestrel?
Does he have the?
Sorry, I was wondering, can Kestrel like control if like does she have the ability to choose like if just this guy has access to it, or is that on his part to do?
That would be on Kestrel's
Okay,
part
cool.
to do.
At least
But I can control the access level as well.
You can, yes. He hasn't necessarily mentioned that, but that how do I put this? He is so the way he has described it so far is that anyone would be able to access it.
Oh.
Now, whether or not he describes any more is something else entirely. You do know for a fact that the ones that Sharp has have only worked for her. So Kestrel is aware that it is possible to make it for one person. That should be something that you are aware of. He has not mentioned that. You can't say for sure why he hasn't mentioned that.
No, the player knows. Damn. Okay. Can I just put the story my grandfather told me on there, or would it be kind of impossible to control how much of like my memories? Because here's the thing. If I am here putting memories of my time inside the cordon in there, that's so not good for me at all. And even I can put that together as Kestrel. Yeah, do you have an answer for that, or
what exactly is your question?
My question is, could I just relay the memory of my grandfather telling me the story, or am I not going to be able to control how much of my memories of the cordon show up in that? Like, if I'm thinking about the story my grandfather told me, am I going to be able to avoid showing my memories of inside the cordon? Or is that sort of without my control?
Probably, it's going to be a little bit of both. So if you are recalling an exact time that he shared that story with you, a lot of the elements of him telling that story to you, probably when he told it to you, him being there where you were at the time of day, the memory of him telling you that story is probably going to be that's going to end up on the disc. That's sort of what you're retelling. When you tell that story to somebody else and you are conjuring it forth in your head, those memories are what end up on that disc. So it is going to be as though if someone were to hold that disc, think of it as them recalling their great-grandfather, Ursir, telling them that story. So there might be a lot of fuzziness in that memory, as there are with many memories, but a lot of, like, it's going to be him. He would be there. Now, some element of his face, maybe it's not a perfect interpretation of him, some element of his voice, where he told you, when he told you, the feelings that it made you feel as he told you the story, all of those things. As you were reciting this memory, or as you're reliving it, it ends up on this disc.
Okay, looks like I'm gonna have to eat this bullet.
Jason, could it be like is it like a check, like of like how well she keeps it?
I will probably allow a like willpower or something like that. Maybe willpower insight to see how well.
Don't fuck this up.
my checks have been bad today. Maybe I got them all.
Join the club.
A fumble, and now this Eric knows everything.
Now he knows everything. Oh, great. Okay.
Like contribute to this role somehow.
Gosh, not really.
Give her a
you,
battle
Can she do like a
no,
cheer? Encourage her on.
Go, go,
a
go.
little pep talk.
Whisper in her ear, like,
Uh,
keep it a secret.
Yeah, I was like,
add
keep what's a
something to your
secret?
roll, I don't know.
You because this is such a personal thing between her and the disc, there's not a whole lot you can do here outside of like legitimately trying to interrupt the procedure. Essentially.
I like it. Let's roll the dice.
We're going in. Okay. So he
So
has
he-
the e-disc. Is
So
he gonna
he goes, pardon me, I will need to step away and grab one real quick. And he kind of goes to there's a separate kind of like back door in here, and he kind of goes back there. It's not like super like secretive or anything. He goes back there, and in like 2 minutes later he comes out, and he has what looks to be an e-disc. You guys have seen one before. It looks a little different. In the same way that the material it's made out of, it looks a little different. But most of the runes look very similar. It's like same writing, different font kind of thing. But it looks like an e-disc that you guys would recognize. Like this is recognizably one. And but he comes out. It's not like there's no glowing. There doesn't appear to be a lot of magic in it yet. But he comes out, and he kind of presents it to you, Kestrel, and he says, "Now, all you need to do is take it here, hold it between your hands, and think of what you want to tell me here on this disc. And when you do, simply be as honest and truthful as you can, and the disc will retain as much of it as possible. And all you need to do is try your best to keep it as open as you can, so that anyone who were to read it or touch it would understand it. That is how we do things here in the House of Knowledge. Information is to be shared with anyone, and not to be hoarded, like some may want us to do, even our imperial benefactors."
I kind of glance around at the staff section a little bit. You mentioned there was a lot of books in here that were sort of in the staff only area.
Uh-huh.
And I look at him and I say, then what are these books doing in here?
And he goes, "Oh, a fair question, a fair question." And he walks over to one of them, and he pulls it off the shelf, and he kind of brings it over to you, and he opens it, and you can see that it's entirely blank. Entirely. And he goes, "These are what we use when we're duplicating books. These are the extras. There are certain requirements. Some people need tomes of different sizes and different information and such. That is why these are here. That is not to say that there are not sections of the house that are off limits to others. There are restricted sections. You are correct in asking your questions, little Kestrel. You're very smart. Unfortunately, we are not in charge of everything around here, and there are some documents that the Empire does not want us to share with others, unfortunately. And these must be put aside so that others cannot see them. That is not a decision up to me. If it were up to me, all could see them, all could view them, and all could know them. But I am not the Empress. Goodness no. But yes.
And what if I tell you something that should belong in restricted section?
And he kind of seems to sort of take your words and kind of look to Myro for a second. And then he kind of goes and he kind of walks over to the doorway that lets you guys in, and he kind of makes sure it's closed, kind of checks the door, and then he comes back and he goes, "Well, if that is the kind of information that you have, then unfortunately I would be required to put it in the restricted area. However, I want you to know that I would not go back on our bargain, and I would provide you any information you need to know. What we discussed today need not leave this room, and you should know that my priority is to this house of knowledge, and everything within it. There have been many empires on this world, and there may be more after. Knowledge is what is important. Come one empire or another.
And I have only one last question. You say that this conversation need not leave this room. Will my name also?
And he says, well, if that is not something that you would like attached to this, we can file it under anonymous.
Then I shall tell you, and I shall be honest.
Can I check this guy too? Just make sure he's 100% legit and that he's not
Absolutely.
just saying what what he thinks we want him to say.
Sure. That would be a insight and willpower.
Right?
6.
Uh-oh.
He seems like the most
This is
genuine
the
person
most honest guy in
ever.
the world.
Seems pretty
What?
legit.
He's
my
enticing you with
individual-
candy.
Maybe he does have some good
Okay.
stuff in his van.
So it's a
Can I
4
use
and a
a
2.
point to? Can I use a Fabula point to re-roll the 2?
Do you have
Yeah.
points left?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
then yeah.
Well,
But
no,
but
that's
what's your
a-
thing? I realized we weren't doing that. You have to like invoke something.
Invoke our
Well,
bard.
I'm gonna evoke my bond with Kestrel.
So
Ah.
I will say, I believe, not to be that fucking guy. Hold on. I'm pretty sure. So if you are invoking a Fabula point, if you want to re-roll, that is invoking a trait. And if you want to invoke a bond, then you are adding the strength of that bond to the check. So if you don't want to
Oh.
chance it on a re-roll, you can just add the strength of the bond.
Oh.
So in this case, you would want to invoke some element of yourself, your, say, like religious background or being a kitsune or any of those sort of things. Those are sort of the things that you're relying on when you re-roll. If you want to lean into the bond that you have, then the strength of the bond determines the strength of the bonus. So
Can I do the second one? Might be a little late for that.
which one is the second one? Just adding the bond?
Improving to the check.
Yeah.
Oh,
Certainly.
you but that only brings it from a 6 to a 7. Right? It's 1.
But you have one strength too.
Which is a threshold. It's every 3, 7, 10, 13, 16. But it's a bad threshold. But it is one higher threshold.
Mhm.
It's up to you. I mean,
If
it's possible you
you-
re-roll and you get a 1.
If you
or another
re-roll,
2.
the math
So,
says you should probably re-roll both because you're more likely to roll as good or higher than a 4 than you are not. And you would need a 6 or higher on your re-roll to hit 10 if you keep the 4. Stuff to consider.
I think I'm gonna re-roll the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And I will. Oh God, I gotta call on something of myself. I don't know. I guess I'll call on my theme, right? I can pick between my identity, theme, or origin.
mhm.
Okay. I guess I will call on my theme of doubt, that there have been things about this quest that have made me doubt certain things. But that I want to trust and support Kestrel wholeheartedly. Does that work?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Plenty of reason to have some doubt in this situation, I would say.
Yeah. All right. So we'll do another insight willpower. Oh my
Oh.
God, are you fucking kidding me? I rolled
Well-
the same exact fucking thing.
Oh no.
God
hold
damn
on.
it.
How many more points do you have?
Yeah, it's a 1 and a 5 at this point.
Great. It's even worse. I trust this guy. He's amazing.
Man,
How many points do you have? Because you
Rolls
can go
this
again,
session.
right? Or is it
No.
limited 1 per?
1 re-roll.
Oh, well, yep. You trust him. He's
In theory, you could now choose to invoke a bond. That's because that's different, but again, it's still just a 6 to a 7. So
Yeah.
like,
this guy's like your new dad. I mean, you just trust him.
I could. I don't know. I might as well invoke the bond. I doubt it'll actually help, but I'll just invoke the bond with Kestrel that
How many points do you
I
have?
want
Fabula points.
to Fabula points. Well, my sheet says 5. Don't know
Oh,
if that's right.
so if it says 5 and you just used 1 and then use another one, that would bring you to 3. You still have 3 left.
Okay.
You could, might as well use them.
Yeah, let's do it. Screw it. Whatever.
Okay.
Ugh, so stupid.
So, given your connection with Kestrel here and the doubt that you have about this whole situation, you try to just search this guy's words and use your best judgment. And there's still a lot of uncertainty within you, but you can't help but feel that maybe he is being honest. But it does feel maybe a little there's something else going on here. There's certainly some element of this that maybe you're missing. But what he's saying makes sense. The dogma, the beliefs of the priests of the god of knowledge do in fact conflict with the sort of strict edicts and control and censorship of the Kirin Empire. They're not really in alignment with each other. So
Mm-hmm.
it is not unreasonable for him to have maybe a streak that is willing to be perhaps a little under the table or underhanded and work with you guys on this. That would align, at least like religiously, dogmatically, with what he is supposed to represent as a curator within the House of Knowledge. So you are inclined to believe him, although it still feels like maybe there's more going on here than just what it seems. You just can't quite figure out what it is, or what it is about this just whole situation that seems strange, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so Kestrel, you agreed?
I agree. If he's willing to keep my anonymity, then I will take the disc and I will imprint my memories upon it.
Okay. So he hands you the disc, you take it in
Mhm.
both of your hands,
Mhm.
and you imprint your memories on it.
Would you like me to narrate it, or?
You're welcome to narrate it for the sake of just having it down.
Mhm.
But if you can, make I think we had said a willpower and probably willpower.
Oh no, I hate that roll. Believe. No.
Oh shit!
That's
I
a
have no-
1 and a 2.
Fuck.
Oh no.
So is this the
Yikes.
gang
mean-
fumbles?
This whole
that what you
session
were
has been
thinking?
brutal. The only one that's coming out on top is Sharp.
I got to be fully transparent. Then is what it looks like.
Unless you've got a fabulous point.
He
I
now knows
don't. I'm
everything.
zeroed.
Oh,
I spent all of them earlier
And hey.
trying to see if Albus was okay.
Oh,
1 and a 2 is
no.
still light years ahead of a 1 and a 1.
Your
Yep,
memories
okay.
are his memories.
You can see inside my head. Okay, I will give the most factual account then.
Okay.
Alright. Here we
And
go.
I guess I'll just narrate it then. My great-grandfather Ursir tells the tale of when the star fell. Before the star fell, there was a time of peace. And I'm kind of envisioning, similar to the grass in the fields that, like, I've seen now. But I don't actually know what the woods look like. Just something similar to how I've seen the outside world. Back then, we were called druids. We guarded the heartwood, the forest closest to the world's magic, where the star called Tiamat fell. We worked with the other creatures, the Fae, and the great dragon that guarded the forest. Then one day, the star fell. Another star fell. And I'm envisioning sort of the upside, like, vision of the canopy inside of the crawling woods. and it is just membranous. There is just, it looks like fleshy sort of flaps sort of strung together, all these trees of bone and marrow, and of fire sort of igniting and exploding on, you know, that fleshy membrane. And it fell into the heart, and from there things began to change. The beasts, the ascended humans like us, were turned into monsters of fresh fleshy instinct. When it reached our forest, many of us fled, tried to save themselves and protect the heartwood saplings. The great dragon was one of them. He took the sapling of the heartwood and escaped from the spreading corruption. My ancestors chose to fight, and I'm envisioning my people. Grandfather Ursir, who looks like this, just bear of a man, a gigantic bear of a man with long white hair, just braided all the way through. It touches the ground, gigantic, and he's sitting underneath one of the marrow, like the under the archwood, the heartwood tree. And all of my siblings, people similar in appearance to myself in a lot of ways, but with different animal sort of components to their appearance. My brother Wolf is there, and he is coated in like downy fur all over his body. He's got skulls and trophies strung around his neck. He's got just very long hair and like gigantic fangs, and we're all sort of seated together underneath the archwood tree. And when it reached us, we too changed. But instead of falling to these instincts, the hunger, the anger, the fear, we embraced them and kept our minds. Our bestial souls, our tree, the grove, and our family was enough to resist the change. With the protection of the grove, we fought back. We embraced this change, and we stood against curiosity, because one instinct stood apart from the rest. And still to this day, we have fought back. After that, there was war outside of the grove and everywhere. There was many, many things falling from the sky, looked like stars. Sometimes fire would erupt in the canopy. There were wyverns. There were things of metal and machine. And eventually, the Great Wall was built, and it stands around us today. That is the story of when the star fell. And yeah, there you go.
Okay. You imprint that upon the disc. It doesn't take, I don't know, more than about as much time, if not quicker, than you retelling that story to us.
Mm-hmm.
And upon doing so, the disc kind of stops humming as you have sort of, you know, finished telling the tale in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric holds out his hand to take the disc from you. I assume you hand it to him?
Well, yeah, I give it. Well, is this one of those times that I could change who can like view it, or is that time coming past?
As you were imprinting it, who did you want to share it with?
Just him.
Just him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that is the case, then that is the only person who can see it. That is the moment that it is essentially. Oh, I'm back.
Hey.
Good job, Castro.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so yeah, so that's something that's done in the moment as you're doing it. So yeah, so if you only want him to see it, then he's the only one that can see it.
Okay.
So you then hand it to him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he takes a hold of it, and there's a brief moment where as he grabs it, the disc sort of hums to life, and there's a certain sense of acknowledgement on his end that he now knows what is on the disc as well. And he then
Has a
would he
heart
know this
attack
part of
and
it?
dies.
I'm trying to remember if I described if Sharp, did I tell you right away that you were the only one that knew how to access it? That you could sense that when you
I think so.
I think you did.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
she knew.
Okay. So then he would say, well, I am honored that you have shared this with me. I would have allowed your companion to see it as well, if you had deemed it worthy. But know that I will ensure that this information is kept safe until such a time as there are those who are willing to hear it. Thank you, Miss Kestrel. I suspect your story will be an important one in the history books.
Okay. And I'm like, so for this, I have learned something new recently. It is called trade. And that is when one person gives somebody something of value, not always in relation to how much or how big or how shiny. And you give me things that you think it is worth. What do you think this information was worth to you?
And he says, well, I see that you have learned a great deal since your time away from where you come from. This information is worth a great deal. I would say that anything here in the library, if you wanted a copy of it, I could provide it for you. And if you wanted a bit more information, I might be able to provide that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that would depend on the question you ask.
You have seen what's on the disc now. Do you have any information on curiosity, on the flesh instincts?
And to that, he sort of goes, I cannot say I do, my dear. I must admit that while you have given me a great deal of knowledge, not all knowledge is an answer. Sometimes the greatest knowledge begs a question. What you have here is a great many questions. Questions that I will need to look more into. I must admit that I am not unfamiliar with some elements of this story. As I said before, you can find a great deal of information on a great many people if you know where to look in this library. And I cannot point you in every direction, but if there's anything in particular you wish to know about something other than this, I could assist you.
I feel bad now. I restricted Myru from seeing it, and like I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, no one else is going to know your beautiful story.
I was about to say, it's one of the coolest like scenes, and none of us are going to know what it is.
Can I change it? Shit.
Changes so that all of us could ever see it if we wanted to.
I know, it's
Fabula
so
point to
sad.
spend.
I'm gonna I will say this. Gosh, you rolled so bad. Would you instinctively have wanted to keep that information from Myru?
I mean, no. I think I've come to trust Myru quite a bit.
I'm inclined to say she might actually have access to it.
Cool.
But I don't know how much I want to redo that scene. But I suppose it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world
Okay.
if he if Myru had access to it. Because even if you intended on keeping it to just him, I don't know if you rolled well enough to do that, frankly.
Yeah.
Well, within a little bit, maybe. Maybe
Well, no.
Inquisitor Yin can't see it, please.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is if you would have trusted her to tell the story, I feel
Mhm.
like that part would have also been imprinted on the disc as well.
Cool.
So we could sort of retroactively have a bit of a moment where he, instead of saying he would have shown it
Yeah.
to you, Myru, he
Mhm.
would have said, your friend.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Sorry, okay, I'm here. I don't know what's going on with Discord. But yeah, he would have instead said to Myru, your friend is welcome to see it as well, and he would have handed you the disc, Myru, and you could
Mhm.
have grabbed it and experienced exactly what Kestrel imprinted upon it.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds good.
Probably even including her intent to only tell this story with Eric, and that not actually being what happened.
well, okay. That makes me
Myra
look like an
won't tell
asshole.
anyone.
Well, no, like essentially you were like, I only want to tell this to people, like there's that sense of like, how would I describe this? This is a story for you, your family, because they were present in the memory,
Mhm.
those you trust, and this guy, Eric. And as Myru holds it, she can sense that she's one of the people that you trust. And thus
Oh.
she gets the cut. She
Yeah.
makes she
Nice.
passes it.
You don't look
Yeah.
like an
Cool.
asshole. You just look like someone who rolled a 3.
So now
true.
Myru knows Kestrel stuff, and Albus knows Sharp stuff.
And Rosalind knows top hat cats.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Okay, well, as this is happening, Sharp, Albus, you guys arrive at the House of Knowledge.
Yay.
We made it.
We point to a map. We want to learn about. They're like, what the fuck is happening today?
Yeah, sure. You get there, and there's a person at the desk who gives you guys yet another look. Looks to the other two people at the desk, and they all exchange glances, and they're like, "Well, actually, you see, the person that you would want to talk to about this, they're busy right now. There's a number of people who wanted to talk about this today, so I'm very sorry, but you may have to wait a little bit. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
I can give you the reference section, if you'd like to look into it yourself. And they write a little thing out for you, and then kind of pass it to you.
That is totally fine. Thank you. In the meantime, do you guys have any what would I look up?
More on Soldier 17, you're
well,
saying?
Well, yeah, but like
like historic or newspaper events of things
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so like the Lighthouse Daily or something, Lighthaven Daily or
Does this world have newspapers, Jason?
yeah.
Okay, so
Careful how you answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it does. However, I would say that about the only places that have it are going to be New Keslov and to a certain degree the GDR, the Greater Draconic Republic.
Okay.
They are about the only ones with an inclination to both distribute information widely like that and access to like printing presses. It's not that Lighthaven can't have printing presses, but like they have the House of Knowledge. People can go in there and turn things in. They are much more inclined to do that. The capital itself tends to be a little bit more close tied in how they kind of hoard their knowledge or keep it away from other people. The areas out in the desert don't necessarily have like just places to hand out and pass information. Newcastle is definitely going to be far more progressive, and that they have no problem selling you a newspaper full of a bunch of nonsense or whatever else that they can find. And the same goes for the Greater Draconic Republic. If they can make some extra money bundling up a bunch of information on a thing that they just print out a bunch of times because they've got the machinery to do it and pass it out to you, they are a-okay doing that. So it is not to say that they are not in circulation, but they are far more common in some of the other areas than they are in Lighthaven. Now, you might be able to find sort of backdated issues of newspapers in Lighthaven, but I would not say that there is a prominent publication here in Lighthaven itself, although I guess depending on if you want to spend a Fabula die for it, there could be an up-and-coming one if you wanted to make one exist.
Rando 5 people walk through Lighthaven. Oh,
so this
Extreme.
this empire who is not the bad guys don't believe in free press. Sharing information or
I mean, believe it or not, sometimes controlling information just helps in keeping the peace.
that's I mean yeah, I've read that somewhere.
Yeah.
Then I guess maybe fuck. I'll ask about like research journals.
Okay.
I don't know if either Leopold would have been involved in publishing throughout.
I will say that you and Leopold in life especially had your hand in a number of like published academic publications. So that's certainly, there is probably content of that. I will say you might be familiar with it.
Okay,
already.
so it won't be as useful.
If it's like older stuff.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I will say that's a little tricky. Because last anyone's heard, he's dead and has been dead.
Right,
so
right.
His name isn't really showing up on anything recent. But I don't want to tell you wouldn't find something there. You would. You're probably just decently familiar with a lot of it already.
But no, like there's no like town logs of like even if this is like the City Watch noting interesting events or problematic events that like happened, or does that just kind of fall under what you said, where like Newcastle would?
So if you wanted to say access, say like records of say imprisonment or like court cases or things like that, that would certainly happen. And if you were looking for research, I mean, obviously your husband is the only person who has been doing research over the years. In fact, I mean, the sciences coming out of Newcastle are pretty like, I mean, there's a lot of them. There's people researching all kinds of things, whether it's magic in certain here in Lighthaven, they've got an academy, for example. And then
can you pause real quick?
Yeah, we should probably pause.
The sound is a little jarbled on the screen, so I didn't know if that's
Doug is kind of glitching out a little bit too.
Kestrel is too. All the Discord people basically, except maybe Michaela.
I think I'm good.
No,
you're not good.
Oh no.
The little spot is
something's
for
happening here.
Everybody.
I don't know if this is a Discord wide thing. Looking at everybody else's cameras here.
You're
clearing
now.
up. Yeah,
no, you're sounding good now.
Okay, all right.
It's a Discord thing. Our Discord latency keeps going up and down.
Okay,
so it's a Discord thing.
All right. I wonder if I can fix that.
So like court records, or like
court records. There are academic documents from a number of different places.
Yeah.
You would have access to whatever they have here. So yeah.
Okay.
And you know like her name, Maisie, you know her power,
right.
Like there's some stuff to go off of.
Yeah, I would look more into like her actual name. So yeah, if I could get pointed to the direction of like the court history or like docket over the last couple of years.
Okay.
Please.
Oh, well, wait, I'm sorry. Would it be last couple of years or would it be longer than that for the experiments on Grace and turning her into Subject 17? And when she went through Lighthaven and all of that?
Would it have been like the last decade?
Do you remember? I was asking you, Jason. Like, is it? Sorry.
You want to know when? Okay, when she was experimented on, or like her life before that point?
Or
Kind of like when she came through Lighthaven. So like
when she came through Lighthaven.
yeah.
Okay, so you know that she had arrived in Freegate like roughly 4 years ago.
Okay.
And sometime before that, she had passed through Lighthaven.
Okay.
So like, yeah, so that's you've got a bit of a, I would probably say within a decade would be if you were looking for like when she might have passed through Lighthaven, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, and then just by chance, like if she came, which I don't know why the fuck any of this would be in the court docket, but we'll look. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say like looking at the last decade of
Okay.
court.
And Jason, we don't know what came through. Have we been clued in on what that, like, she was traveling or she was abducted or escorted? Like, do we know the verb of how she came through Lighthaven or no?
You know, so the exact quote from that is, I tried to track down where Grace came from, but I couldn't find anything concrete. She was shipped here from Lighthaven. I know that much, but whether she started there or merely passed through, I can't say.
Right.
That was what was in the e-disc itself.
So, like, Maisie, there could be a record of a fire elemental being abducted, or like someone saw something weird, or
Something tangential to.
Yeah, and it could be nothing, but like,
Yeah. Okay.
this is where the detective work comes in.
Yeah.
Got your spyglass.
Or if it
Yeah.
was court ordered treatment.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for narrowing that down with me.
So you're looking for court records last decade or so, and you're looking for anything that stands out to you, essentially.
Yeah. Either with Leopold or Grace.
Okay. So the person at the desk, they write you a little area, another one, because you had asked about the map, yeah, and now you're asking
Yeah.
about this, and they write you a little piece of paper for both, and then they hand both to you. Is there one that you want to pursue first?
The Leopold stuff first. Or the
Okay.
court stuff first, sorry.
Okay. So you go down a couple levels following the signs and stuff. Albus, you're actually welcome to go someplace else or ask about
Yeah,
something
I
else,
was going to
Albus.
say, I'm going to go and let the others that are here know that we have made it back from where we were.
Okay. Make me like an insight and dex check real quick.
Inside.
See if you can spot them. You got to find them.
Yes,
some of them are
that's
not
true.
present in a back room, and some of them are trying to be discreet.
Some of them are so stealthy, they're basically invisible.
And some are running into
Gandalf
walls.
is not being.
Inside decks.
Yes.
Okay. It's a 7 and a 1.
And we're out of points.
And I'm out of
you have
points.
to roll with
So
a 8.
You find Gunolf.
I stumble into
Uh,
Gunolf.
That's probably true, actually. So Gunolf, you're sort of like looking around, you're kind of peeking up over the edge and stuff like that. And eventually you do spot Gunolf, who's actually kind of like on the top floor there. And he's just like chit-chatting with a bunch of different people.
As he does.
Like, yeah, that you've never met these people. They're not people you know.
Mhm.
But he seems to be asking them questions and taking notes about things they're telling him and stuff like that. But you don't make out anybody else amongst the crowd. At one point, you think you spot Rosalind, but maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I'm going to walk up to Gunolf, hopefully not interrupting any conversation that he's having, and just inform him that both Sharp and I have returned.
Albus, perfect time. Could you turn around real quick?
Sure.
'Cause I'm just gonna kind of take a look at his apron and see. Okay. Well, I mean, I could put this here. This. All right. Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Where are the others?
Right. I don't know. I got here by myself, so I'm separated from them myself. So.
Well, I'll stick by you until we find the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Sharp, you were headed down. You get to the section that you were told to go to, and you can see that it is essentially a large. They are big, bound, essentially tomes of what looks like people have sort of basically just collected all kinds of documents. It's essentially like what the stenographer would have written down for certain cases, summaries, reports, those sorts of things. And there's reams of stuff. This is a lot to go through, especially if you're going case by case. They are not. They are sorted by like date. So, day or month, day, hour, essentially the number of the cases. But like this is a lot of information to go through. This wouldn't, unless you know exactly, like this is, if you're looking for 10 years, this is probably like, I don't know, an entire row, if not two, of like 3-4 bookshelves to go through. This is a lot of information.
You could probably narrow it down to like 3 years to start, because 4 years back she's just in Freegate, so they're not going to be anything there. And then if you think maybe go 1 more year, or maybe even start there, like, you know what I mean? You can start to narrow it down a little bit. It's still a ton of information, though. Why are you...
Wait, well, no, so 4 years ago she got in a Frigate, so I'd have to look 5 years from right now.
Back, yeah. So
Yeah.
don't look within the last 4 years, because there's not going to be anything.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
will just as a friendly reminder, in the original eDisc memory, there's the part where you where Bishop was explaining that, that was when I started seeing the pieces, the clues, uncensored quotes hidden in documents, charts, and diagrams with familiar notations and handwriting. And you yourself could see the handwriting and notations in your mind, and you could feel the same kind of sense of recognition that they were your late husband's work. And the dates of those signatures and sign-offs were recent, a mere 5, 6, even 7 years ago.
Okay.
And then that's when you started putting the pieces together. So you were probably looking for something roughly in that time frame.
Thank you. Yeah.
If you were looking for when your husband was involved.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would start 5 years ago. Then, like, that's kind of, around that date. But then also that will give at least, a good idea, a good guess of like, okay, well, if she was in Freegate 4 years, she'll probably be around here in 5 years or whatever.
Okay. Well, this is probably a project, and I don't even know if that's the case.
Yeah.
You are looking for a needle in a haystack here. This is multiple years of stuff to pour through.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably going to be an insight check.
Okay.
And you are going to have quite the clock to fill in, unfortunately.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't find anything. I got a 6.
Are you out of points?
I haven't been putting points.
It's 3 and a 3. It's doubles, but
so you begin your search and find nothing. At least not yet.
Great.
But it is a timely search pouring through all these things.
Yeah.
Steve, Rosalind, let's get you guys in for your next
right.
check here as you're
So,
searching.
so we find a guy and we can maybe talk to him. So I'm gonna talk to Roz first. I'm gonna be like, Rosalind, here's what I think. We should do a classic adventure thing. We go in, we're trying to keep low profile. We make up some names, we make up a story, we use our charisma, use our riz, and and we get him to spill the beans.
Is that what they call it where you come from, Riz?
I don't actually say that part, but yeah,
Oh.
yeah. We use our charisma, and they'll, they're not gonna know any better. There are a million people in here, as you can see. So if we're convincing enough, they'll get us some access to some restricted areas.
I don't know that I'm an excellent liar, but
That's all right. Just follow my lead. It'll be fun, if nothing else. What have we got to lose?
quite a bit.
Yeah, I realize that as I asked, but that's okay. The risk is worth the reward.
Well, I'm down to try if you are.
All right, just follow my lead. So, so we find a staff member, Jason.
Okay, you approach the nearest staff member.
Ideally, somebody who looks susceptible, kind of like pliable.
Pliable.
Yeah.
What is a pliable person?
Like,
look
I don't
like?
know.
How
They
do I
just
describe
maybe
that?
look like they don't have a lot of friends, or they're kind of,
They're like
That's
You're
a
looking for a staff member, right?
yeah, but
So
it's
desperate.
whoever has the lapel that looks like it's their first day.
yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
Siri, get out of here. What are you doing?
Being goofy.
All right, that was
Steve's
not.
angry.
That's not the bit.